Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and today we are going to take a look at the fact that Venus is in direct motion, but Venus still has a number of aspects to make before leaving the sign of Leo that will, in a sense, reactivate everything that we have learned and been experiencing throughout the Venus retrograde. And that's pretty typical for retrogrades because they go forward through a swath of degrees in direct motion. Then they'll go back in retrograde motion, then forward again in direct motion. And so you will often have three of the same aspects being made during that time, especially if there's a slow moving planet that's just kind of moseying along through one of the signs that's configured to the sign of the retrograde. In this case, for example, we've got Venus continuing to hit Jupiter and Uranus. So what we're going to do today is give you a sense of the remainder of Venus's timeline so that you can be prepared and know what's coming and look back at the times during Venus's retrograde and Venus's direct motion earlier in the summer when those same aspects were present. So that is our goal today, just kind of a Venus retrograde refresher now that Venus is turning direct. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe and share your comments and reflections. That really helps the channel to grow. Always appreciate you guys helping us out with that. Transcripts of any of my daily talks can be found on the website, nightlightastrology.com. And we will be moving into enrollment season for my fall program, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystics. So probably next week or the week after, I'll begin promotion for that and telling you about the program and how you can register. But you can check that out on the website in the meantime. And when you're over there, you can also check out all of my readings. The wait time is now down significantly, from a year down to like 8 or 9 months. We've kind of restructured how we're doing some of the readings to make that wait time a little bit shorter. So take advantage of that. And if you have any questions, email us info@nightlightastrology.com. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the real-time clock up and take a look at what is left of Venus's retrograde. So this is the start of the week. And here what we can see is that it's between Monday, September 4th and Tuesday, September 5th, that Venus turns direct. You can see Venus with the marker of the S beneath it that signals the stationing. So here we have Venus stationing. And if we advance this just one day, we can see that by Tuesday, that S is gone. So we just kind of broadly say between Monday and Tuesday, the 4th and the 5th of September, Venus turns direct. Now, what's going to happen as Venus works her way back through the sign of Leo in direct motion is that Venus is going to make several important aspects. So first of all, one of the aspects that Venus will make will be the repeated square to Jupiter. Now, Venus has been in the range of the square to Jupiter since later in August in retrograde motion, then stationed within 3 degrees, and is now moving back through that square. So by about the 16th, we could move it forward one day here, 16th and 17th of September, Venus will square Jupiter again. Now we're going to pause here and just reflect on Venus's square to Jupiter. First of all, let's just see if I can. Where is so? Here we go. I think technically that is the 17th that it perfects. But at any rate, Venus's square to Jupiter is important not only because this is the third and final square of the two planets, but because it's such a benefic combination. You have Jupiter in the sign of Taurus in a superior square with reception to its host Venus. And so you have this really nice Venus-Jupiter combination in the sky that suggests things like fertility and growth and abundance and ease and usually with Venus-Jupiter, there's a sense of meeting the right people or of nice, healing, positive connections with other people, of allies, benefactors, friends, community, positivity from women and teachers. Women comes from the Venus signature in particular, but any Venusian figures in life that could be a form of positive support or blessing to us right now. So that Venus squared Jupiter is also tends to be a little extravagant and can, spend too much money or kind of go over the top with uh, because of expensive taste. So you have to be a little bit careful about that. But Venus's square to Jupiter around the middle of September is a really nice omen when it comes to positive connections with other people, love and romance, luxury, joy, creativity, abundance. And again, it's a very fertile transit. It tends to make things grow. I think at the beginning of 2023, when I make my year ahead forecast for the entire year, and that usually comes out through one of the Kickstarter rewards, but I make that talk and I look at all the transits of the year, and this long-standing Venus-Jupiter dynamic for me was one of the best of the year. It has its shadow sides like anything else, but that is an extremely positive transit for most people, especially people who have fixed signs on the angles. You'll find that that is a very uh, supportive combination. And even if you don't, if you have planets in fixed signs that Venus and Jupiter are making aspect to, you'll often find that they'll receive those planets and what they represent will receive support and blessings from this combination. So that's one of the things that we have to look forward to. Let's put the real-time clock back up and go over this again as we take Venus forward. Now, we looked at these in horoscopes this week too, the Venus-Jupiter connection, the Venus-Uranus connection. So we're really trying to remind everybody of this transit because it is it has some history behind it as well. So let's go back in time. If we go back in time, the square through Venus's retrograde was made right around August 22nd. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it here, but this would have been, August 21st into the 22nd. There's the square through the retrograde. So you can look back and see, what's been happening around late August into this period of middle September. Then if you go back in time, you're going to see that Venus's retrograde, prior to Venus's retrograde, Venus in direct motion near the very beginning of Leo, way back in June, was making this aspect as well. So this aspect comes through about June 11th in direct motion. There it is right there. So you can look also at the progress and development of the Venus-Jupiter dynamic over the course of the summer. We have June 11th, and then again, we have the connection through the retrograde in late August, and then mid to late September now, we see Venus coming back once more through direct motion. So a nice wave pattern of Venus-Jupiter and its combination. A really romantic transit, one that often signifies very good things for relationships, love, sexuality, art, women, creativity in general, and things like fertility, the development of wealth, assets, or valuable people coming into your life on any level, themes of joy and Venus-Jupiter combinations are the word I would use to sum it up is pleasing, And again, the shadow might be overdoing something or extravagance or expensive taste or indulgence or something like that. But it's a pretty good one overall. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up to, the present moment again and just take a look at the next major dynamic from Venus. So if we take a look at Venus coming through the square, here's Venus coming through the square to Jupiter, which we just looked at. But then if we take Venus forward just a little bit further, Venus is going to once more also get into the square with Uranus. This is another incredibly dynamic transit that has a long history over the summer through direct motion, through retrograde motion, and now through direct motion again. So there's a wave pattern playing out between these two planets as well. Now, Venus-Uranus. What is Venus-Uranus all about? Well, we visited this so many times on my channel over the summer. We've spent a lot of time with this combination. But one of the things that Venus-Uranus represents are breakthroughs in love and relationships. the need for greater experimentation or originality to break the mold, to break out of old habits, to revitalize, rekindle, awaken, excite into action from a place of dormancy, anything to do with love, creativity, relationships, um, to awaken the impulse toward sexuality or sensuality or creative and bodily fulfillment, the pursuit of sensual gratification, the development of our own creative spark or flare, uh, creative or sensual or relational individuation, which means that relationships can take big leaps forward in their development. We can also see that Venus's square to Uranus will be about provocative and, maybe startling expressions of love, art, sexuality. It can be about rebellion and love. And we can also see from Venus Uranus the desire to break the mold. Well, I've always done things this way in love or relationships or creatively. And now I'm feeling the need to do something very different. Or if you're a creative person, but you've been stuck or stagnant, this will have the Venus Uranus will have the effect of awakening you and inspiring the creative juices, let's call it. So Venus Uranus is a transit that also has a history. Let's look back and take a look at where Venus and Uranus has been over the course of the summer. So if we take this back, we're going to see that Venus came through the square to Uranus in retrograde motion. And that retrograde motion was right around, let's see. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to try to get it exact here. Yeah, so there we have it. So we're looking at right about, August 9th was the retrograde motion. So we back it up. We're looking at August 9th. And so it's September 29th that Venus will square Uranus again in this month of September, but it was August 9th. So we can take it back in time. And then if we go back in time again through direct motion, Venus was squaring Uranus here in late June, early July. I think it was early July, actually. Yeah, it was early July. So this would have been about July 2nd into the 3rd. So July 2nd and 3rd, you can see that Venus is squaring Uranus again by direct motion. So you've got, early July, so somewhat early August, and then late September as the wave pattern of Venus-Uranus. So I think this Venus retrograde has been, it's been a story of Venus retrograde in Leo, but it's been, broadly speaking, the story of the square to Jupiter 3 times and the square to Uranus 3 times. When Jupiter and Uranus are co-present in the same sign, remember that we've talked about that combination as well. That is a fantastic combination when it comes to rebirth and this kind of expansive moment of awakening and enlarging and broadening. Jupiter-Uranus contacts are associated with inspiration and sort of flight, the flight of the imagination, the development of things that the development of technology historically that's had to do with major breakthroughs in different fields. So you kind of have this energy of breakthrough and expansion with Jupiter and Uranus together, and then Venus hitting those 2 planets over and over and over again throughout the whole summer, 3 times for both. This month, therefore, it's like, oh, Venus is direct. So a lot of people will think, well, the transit is over. What else is there? Well, there's a lot left because Venus, let's put the real-time clock back up again, just to illustrate this. Not only does Venus hit throughout the month of September, hit Jupiter again, hit Uranus again, which really brings an entire process that's been going on since June full circle, right? It's a culmination and completing events with Jupiter and Uranus. But then if we take Venus all the way into the next sign, which we'll visit as well. Whoops, this takes me way back. Let's move forward. So here we go. So Venus will enter the sign of Virgo, where then her dignity changes in a major way, and that's a whole separate topic. And she'll hit an opposition to Venus right away, and this is sort of mid-October. That's a big deal. But let's see here. So Venus will officially move into Virgo not until this is October 8th. So you've got not only all of this month of September, but a whole week into October before Venus finally leaves Leo. So it's not over yet. And the direct motion of a planet after going through all of this, not what to speak of the squares to Jupiter and Uranus, which are big as we've just gone over, but it's also a big deal because you get this period of integration and culmination. It's like the tapestry has been woven together, but this last month completes a process. And so think of this month as a completion of Venus retrograde. Not that when Venus is turns direct that it's just over, but that Venus going through those squares one more time and then finally leaving Leo in October will signify the completion of an entire process. So that is that's pretty sweet when you look at it from that standpoint, because it means that we're kind of putting a bow on things. Venus as the planet of adornment. We're ready to adorn and put the finishing touches, the wrapping paper and the bow around the gift that we've been given, and then the question becomes, how can we give that to other people? Venus is by nature relational, so how are the lessons that we have learned ready to be enacted in different social settings or in different relationships in our lives? That may also be a really important way of looking at the remaining portion of Venus's transit through Leo. All right, well, that's what I've got for today. Just wanted to make sure everyone has a real nice recap of Venus and what is still left in the Venus cycle. I would love to hear from you guys and hear how you're doing with this transit, what you've learned, what kinds of stories. We did some storytelling about Venus retrograde last week, which I thought was really fun to do. But more stories, please. If you have any, be sure to use the hashtag grabbed or email us your story, grabbed@nightlightastrology.com. When you use the hashtag grabbed in the comment section, be sure to tell us the transit that you're sharing a story about, and then tell us your story and be succinct if you don't mind. It's easier for us to aggregate good stories when you just say, hashtag grabbed Venus retrograde or Venus square Uranus or whatever. Here's the story. So anyway, look forward to a storytelling episode maybe later in September, and hope you guys are doing well. We will see you again tomorrow. Bye, everyone.